Welcome to the Westport Library. Today's program will begin momentarily. Supported by Verso Studios, created locally and shared with the world.
Oh, why, thank you. Wow, I wasn't expecting applause. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Carrie. I'm part of the programming team here, and I would like to give you all a big round of applause yourselves for showing up at the library tonight on a Friday night to support some very entertaining, slightly nervous, I think, students. This showcase tonight is the culmination of a 6-week stand-up comedy series that is part of our Verso University program. Verso University is something the library implemented a few months ago, and it's a lifelong learners program. We offer classes in a whole bunch of curriculums and disciplines and genres, and we were really fortunate enough to offer this stand-up comedy class and to secure an incredible comedian and teacher, Mina Hartong. So I'd like to introduce Mina to you tonight, and then she will get the show rolling. Mina is an MC, she's an educator, and she is a funny lady. She was born in Fairfield County, and her comedy and teaching career has taken her to Europe and Australia, New York City public schools, and to East Africa. She recently performed at Joe's Pub in New York City, and she will be cruising and headlining with Olivia Travel next spring. Mina has headlined a bunch of our cabarets here and our comedy nights, and we're so happy to have her back at the Westport Library. So please give a big welcome to Mina Hartong.
Thank you. Good evening, Westport. Give it up for yourselves. The Friday before Thanksgiving, I'm sure you had some cranberry sauce to make, so we won't keep you too long tonight. It's so nice to be back. I'm Mina Hartong. I am your host tonight. My pronouns are she, her, and anything that's about these amazing students. Please give it up one more time for them. This is a hard thing to do. Oh my goodness, I love the youth. I see some youth in the back. Thank you, youth, for joining us. You know, I'm learning so much from the youth about gender fluidity and gender identity, etc. They don't talk to me much anymore, the youth. You know, except in June, during Pride Month. They'll come up to me, they'll be like, hi, can I talk to you? Oh my God, feelings. Okay, I just wanted to say, thank you so much for coming out back in the 1900s. You're like such a pioneer. Can I take a picture with you? Slay! I'm gonna put it on Instagram. Do you know what Instagram is? Okay, follow me. Oh, you know what Instagram is? That's so cute. Okay, follow me. Okay, bye. I know what Instagram is. I know the things, you know, Snap Talk, TikTok Toe, the things that the kids are doing. I don't understand any of it. I am exhausted. I go to the Verizon store like once a week and ask how much data I have. They say, ma'am, it's unlimited. Yeah, please help me, youth, after the show to understand TikTok Toe. I don't get it, I don't. But I do like to keep up with the youth because I'm a teacher. Do we have any teachers in the house tonight? Retired or otherwise? Yeah, clap for them. They do not get paid. They did not get paid. Please get them some more wine if they're drinking. I don't know if you think you know what teaching is, but you have to do it to understand how hard it is, right? It is. I taught for about 20 years, and the kids were fine, you know? It was just some of the parents. I know we're in Westport, so some of these parents might be here tonight. I call them the parents of choice, right? Everything's a choice. Do you want to eat here? Do you want to eat there? Do you want your friend to come? Do you want to eat in a restaurant? Do you want to get takeout? Where do you want to sit? What do you want to order? Do you want to write the menu? Do you want to go back and help the chef? Should I sign you up for culinary camp? What is your choice? Do you want to go to bed? What time do you want to go to bed? Do you want to wear pajamas or a nightgown? Do you want to sleep outside? Should I get you a tent? Should we build you a tree house? What is your choice? My mother was like, light my cigarette, pour me a drink, talk to your father, we're not speaking. Choices. I didn't hear any choices in that. You know, I think we lost the kids when we let them graduate from kindergarten. I feel like that was the moment, right? Like, what did you really do, right? You learned some numbers, you learned some words, you drank some juice, You graduate? Like, what is there to live for after that, right? You give them a cap and gown. What's the motivation after that? Anybody out here remember old school parenting? Anybody? Yes? Yes? You're nodding your head, right? My mother is driving faster over the speed bump, so we'll hit our heads. No seatbelts. Just a reminder of who's in charge, right? Right? Yeah, I don't know, I don't get it. These new parents, they love their kids so much, they take them to like hotels and restaurants and voting. Like if my mom did that, she would have taken me to key parties all over Fairfield County in the 1970s. I don't get it, I don't get it. But I did used to live in Westport. My wife and I lived here for many, many years, and we really did try to adapt to suburban life. We moved from the city, so we tried to assimilate. My wife played golf, and I played some pickleball. We cut down a Christmas tree every year because that's what the people were doing. But the thing is that I don't know, like how many times can you like touch a truck before you lose the thrill of the first time you ever did it? You know, so we did move back to the city, but I love coming back, and I do miss Westport. I miss the quiet, of course. I miss the beach, and I miss Trader Joe's. Because, yeah, right? Right. I knew everybody there, right, by first name. And we have Trader Joe's in New York City, of course, but we do not have an extremely big parking lot, right, that you have here. So I used to go to Trader Joe's all the time when I lived here. And I used to drive my wife to the train. So how many of you drive your spouse to the train or get driven to the train, right, if you're commuting, right? So you know that you don't have to get dressed to do that, right? You just put your coat on over your pajamas and you drop them off and off you go. So one day, it was winter, and I put on my long, long coat, and I went to Trader Joe's, and my little Hello Kitty pajamas were just peeking out underneath my coat, and this guy next to me goes, "Rough night?" I was like, yeah, it was touch a truck, and it was all night long. Thank you so much. I'm Mina Hartong. I'm your host. You're very kind. So I want you to know that some of these students have had experience with comedy and storytelling, and some of them are doing it for the first time, and I know you're going to show them a lot of love. It's an incredibly brave thing to do. In 6 short weeks, we came up with material from our own lives and got it ready for you tonight. So thanks again for being here. Our first performer coming up is retired from sales and marketing in the corporate world, so that sounds a lot harder than teaching. She's very happy to be retired, and she said when she retired that she wanted to do something each year from her bucket list that took her out of her comfort zone. So this year, it was stand-up comedy. Please give a warm Westport welcome to Jane Steiger.
Thank you. Oh, Mina, get this down. Okay. Thank you, Mina. Hi, everybody. So, I'm retired. I retired from the corporate world a few years ago. I was in sales, and I was a marketing services consultant. In English, that's a sales rep. But you have to understand, in the corporate world, everything had to sound important. So, the more words we used, the more important we sounded. Honestly, I'm exhausted already. The corporate world operates with its own unique language. We didn't have performance reviews. We had PMPs, performance metric profiles. Seriously, we don't even use the metric system in this country. And expense reports, no, we couldn't call it that. We had to call it by its software name, Concur. Have you done your monthly Concur report? Or how about your quarterly business review? Or your annual client assessment? What's with these 3-word phrases? I don't get it. But in the world of sales where I lived, everything evolved around their quota. This was the one language salespeople understood. Why? Well, it's one word for starters. But salespeople just innately know how to get to their quota. The problem is management wants to tell you how. So no matter how good you are or how effective, you always had to follow a sales process. So one year they gave us roadmaps, complete with directions and how to steer your way through the sales call. If you had an objection, you go right. If you had a buying signal, well, you go left. And if you got a complete objection, well, you had to put it in reverse, back up, and restart. This is very sophisticated stuff. But wait, one year we had a toolbox, a sales toolbox, complete with solutions to help close the deal. Mr. Customer, wait, I really think I can help. I've got a toolkit here, filled with solutions, and I can customize them just for you. Oh, just shoot me. But wait, my favorite is the 3 Gs. The give, get, go technique, which sets up a call by giving something to the client that they need, and then getting something that you need and going. I don't know where, but that was the technique. The 3G translation, good God, get me out of here. I was telling a friend who's a medical sales rep about the 3Gs, and she said, you're not gonna believe this, but we have the 3 Ps, purpose, process, payoff, which they ended up calling, please pull the plug. Who knew? Somewhere there are consultants making a lot of money and having a field day with the alphabet. But the last hurrah for me was the second quarter push. May, June, that's in real world. Management wanted salespeople in front of customers. So they had a push called 40 calls in 40 days. This was so outrageous, but you know, garbage in, garbage out. Retirement couldn't come fast enough for me, and when that first day arrived, my friends, I had a whole world ahead of me, and my friends were calling and asking what I was doing, and I could brag that I was just cleaning my closet and tossing all those business suits out. What I hadn't figured is day 2, when the phone stopped ringing, nobody needed me, and it was pretty quiet. That was tough, but nothing was as tough as those 40 calls in 40 days. I was struggling, the clock was ticking, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, on a shuttle bus, going to the rental cars, and the bus was filled with all these men wearing khaki pants and corporate logoed golf shirts. My people. I raced to the front of the bus, and as we were departing, I was able to strike up a conversation with a few, and I started making inroads to those 40 calls. The shuttle bus was my new secret weapon. Did I close any deals? No. But I filled out all those 40 calls, all with legitimate names. This is the type of stuff that just drives salespeople crazy. But never underestimate salespeople. They can play the game, and they will always find a way to win. Fast forward, my last day of work had finally arrived. I had all my belongings, and as I was leaving the building, the phone rang. Have you completed your exit interview? Are you kidding me? All I could think to say was, it's in my PMP. I knew then that I was more than ready to retire, and you know what? I think my company was ready for me to retire too. Thank you. I'm Jane Steiger. Thank you.
Please keep it going for Jane Steiger, a survivor of the corporate world. I gotta say, Jane, I think PMP sounds even worse than PMS, if there's such a thing. Our next performer was such an important part of our class, and she unfortunately, due to some family obligations, was not able to perform live tonight. And thanks to the Westport Library and their incredible support for everything that we do, we were able to secure a video of her story. She is also recently retired from 37 years in the public school classroom. And she is a traveler, and she is a writer, and she is a person who feels like death has always followed her in her life. And she chose to transform that into joy and humor and finding the adventure of life. Please welcome via video from Trumbull, Connecticut, Shari Maleen.
Hi. I grew up with the doom and gloom cloud hanging over my head. I had to start worrying now, details to follow, kind of an upbringing. I have a PhD in worrying and a master's in fretting. Those diplomas are not hanging on a wall in my house. As I evolved as an adult, I realized I could trade my doom and gloom degree for a happier, funnier adult childhood experience. Switching from the Weather Channel to Comedy Central, I now put all my efforts and energy into finding humor wherever I can. I'm a newly retired educator with 37 years in the classroom, but that's another story. Actually, lots of stories. I was a health teacher in middle school. So far, this is how retirement has been going. A few weeks ago, I joined my town's senior center. I'm taking every class that interests me: Tai Chi, tap dancing, Bollywood dancing. I stop and think, is this me, 65, here at the senior center? How did this happen? I'm still a youngster. Then I look around and think, probably everybody's thinking the same thing. Well, hello, new life. Another part about having more time in my hand is on my hands is I find myself losing things and losing it. I constantly put things down around the house and then spend way too much time looking for them, especially my phone. Multitasking used to be my MO. No more, gotta slow down and mindfully do each task. It got so bad I couldn't find my phone one day. My friend was there. I had her call it. There was a ring coming from the refrigerator. Once I was outside talking on the phone, I came inside holding my phone and coffee cup. I put the phone down to shut the door, and there I was talking into the coffee cup. Please tell me you do things like this. At what point should I be worried? I'm nervous. Is it time to get tested for cognitive impairment? I really have to watch this doom and gloom. It remains to be my default mode. My first year of retirement was interesting. It was during pre-vaccine COVID. So much for traveling and enjoying life to the fullest. Lockdown. It was a blessing and a curse that I was home because I became the go-to person for my Uncle Bob, who was 90, and the primary caretaker to my 85-year-old aunt, Marcia. They are very dear to me. My cousins, their 2 children, live farther away, so I am the first responder. Marcia was a real head-turner in her day. She has now traded in her stilettos for Crocs and a walker with dementia, but still has her wits about her. It's funny how life works. Back in her prime, she actually stockpiled drugs so that if she ever became like she is now, she would end it. But she forgot all of this. So at this point, if she was a horse, she would have been put down multiple times by now. Here's a recap of the first year of being their go-to. I was looking for my aunt in the house, and she was nowhere to be found. She fell in the driveway and broke her pelvis. Luckily, I walked down the driveway and found her laying there. Had to cancel my Zoom therapy session that day. A month later, my Uncle Bob was in a car accident and was hospitalized. I had to stay with Marcia. During sundowning, she was continually freaked out and asking me where Bob was. I couldn't tell her the truth, so I had to keep making up stories every 2 seconds when she asked, "Where's Bob?" He's with his girlfriend Lola. He's vacationing in Aruba. He fell and needs to be at the hospital for his wounds was the best I could do to calm her. Months later, Marcia fell again and fractured 6 ribs. Off to the therapist we go. Had to cancel my Zoom therapy that session again. My therapist questioned my commitment. Then my uncle was in the hospital with COVID. Marcia was home with dementia and non-symptomatic COVID. Not remembering she was contagious, she was constantly breaking out of her bedroom barricade and asking, "Why are we wearing masks, gloves, and smocks?" I was armed with disinfectant going into battle until I can get relieved by my cousin. I was so exhausted from explaining why she couldn't do certain things over and over and over. I slept for days when I got home. Months later, while shopping at Trader Joe's, the phone rang. It was my cousin. I said, "Now what?" Perhaps I should have left my phone in the refrigerator. He said, "You aren't going to believe this." Back to the hospital, Marcia had an emergency bowel obstruction surgery that resulted in 6 months with a colostomy bag. One day, I had dementia duty while my uncle went to run some errands. She couldn't remember why the bag was attached to her and what it was for. She'd pull it out, and I'd have to cover her up and get her to the bathroom, calling my uncle frantically to come home. At least this time I could find my phone. And the latest, just the other day, I was visiting while Marcia was hanging out in her underwear and t-shirt. She was complaining that her hand had blisters. They were going up her arm and they were painful. I suggested we go to the walk-in to have it looked at and told her, "Why don't you go put some pants on?" She said with a great sense of awareness and humor, "They'll probably take me sooner if I go like this." So you can see that sometimes maybe it's okay for me to go a little doom and gloom. I just can't stay there permanently. So things are a little calmer with my aunt and uncle now. I have more time for retirement. While observing the world around me, I find myself seeing faces in inanimate objects. Do any of you see faces? I often see them and crack myself up. Am I the only one who experiences this? I can't be. There's actually a name for this, pareidolia, and I just recently found there's a Facebook page for this. The people who are prone to seeing these are typically female, check. People who believe in the supernatural, check. The primal alert for danger, doom and gloom, double check. So after the show, if you see me giggling at my water bottle, don't worry, I'm just embracing my inner pareidolia artist. But wait, was this word derived from paranoia? Is there a meetup for this? Or support group? I need to check. Oh, gotta go. My uncle's calling me. I'm sorry, thank you, and be well. Hi. I grew up with the doom and gloom cloud hanging over my head. I had to start worrying now details.
We liked it so much, we're going to hear it again. Please keep it going for Shari Malene. We hope to have her on stage with us next time. Wonderful, thank you. So this class is a stand-up comedy class, but what we discovered is it also can be a storytelling, because so much of stand-up comedy is derived from narratives and humorous narratives. So you're going to be hearing a little bit of both tonight. Stories that make you laugh and stand-up comedy with punchlines and setups. It's a wonderful world of comedy that we can explore together. Our next performer was trained as an actor and dancer, but most of his career for the last 40 years has been in directing and producing and also working in video. He's done over 150 productions and has worked with people like Bernadette Peters, Robert De Niro, and many others. He was trained in New York City at the Neighborhood Playhouse and also studied at Hunter College and Queens College. Here to amuse you with a story is Michael R. Douglas.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Look at all these people. I never did much dating in my prime dating years. So when I became divorced, dating was a novel experience for me. The first person I went out with when I became divorced, Carol, we're talking more than 30 years ago, was a spirited, shall we say, 39-year-old woman who was really 47. I asked her not long after we started dating, did you have a lot of lovers in college? I was nearing 50 and I wanted to know what I was dealing with. Oh no, she replied, just an average number, maybe 200. I was so cool, you would have been proud of me. I casually murmured, implying that she and I traveled in the same league. She left notes all over the house that said, I think I love Michael. I couldn't help but see them, but her kitchen calendar had a different man penciled in for each night of the week. I don't want to be a hypocrite here. I didn't really care. Still, I was more than a little bit envious of her full dance card. I would like to have had a brimming calendar like hers. And somewhere deep in my gut, I knew I never would. Those may be my dying words. Thank you all. It's been a great ride. I just wish I could have had as many lovers as Carol. Carol was kind of a secret. She never met my family. We all have secrets, right? I mean, most of us are not serial killers. We don't have a landscape littered with corpses, but our secret thoughts, we hide them even from ourselves. If someone put a gun to your head and said, tell me your deepest, darkest secret, you'd do it, right? You'd give up your deepest, most humbling secret, or you'd try to, but you would probably get it wrong because you pushed it so far down, telling yourself that you're a better person than you are because you can't let the truth be known. Take me. Just now, as I came on stage, I undressed every woman here in my mind. I didn't mean to. You tell yourself, don't look, don't look, don't look. Then at the last minute, you look. No, I can't help it. It's my automatic thoughts. And none of those dirty old man, that dirty old man BS, that's ageism. I know some of you right now are thinking, this guy would have us believe he still has thoughts like that. Well, I want you to know I do. I'm the same terrible person now that I was at 25. And it's not just men. I knew a woman well past 80 who admitted she silently crotch-watched. True. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us. Those two things may be related. It must be particularly hard if you're in a position of authority and mean well, like the Pope. He's going along, doing laudable Pope things, thinking laudable Pope thoughts, and he drifts into automatic thinking. We all do it. We don't even know we're doing it. Say he's giving communion. People are moving past. He's nodding and mumbling special words, yada, yada. And here comes a woman in a scoop-neck dress. The Pope looks down at her, yada, yada, magic words. Eat this tiny saltine. Drink this Mogan David. Bless you, my child. Nice jugs. No, I didn't say that. I didn't think that. I can't. I'm the Pope. Bad me. 1,000 Hail Freds, or whatever they are. Please, God, buddy, don't tell, and I promise I'll never tell. Even I'd feel a little guilty when he has a thought like that, and you know he does, because he's human. It must drive him crazy, because I do think he's sincere, but you can't hide your secret thoughts. Sister Mary Margaret, may I say you're rocking those official church-approved shorts today. Nice camel toe. No, I'm the Pope. By the way, this bit clearly takes the position that there are straight men in the Catholic Church, which should please some people who otherwise hate this bit. Thank you, I'm Michael R. Douglas.
Please keep it going for Michael R. Douglas and the Pope. Thank you so much. This next performer is someone that I met many years ago on the comedy circuit, and she's making her return to the comedy stage, which we're also happy about. She is a divorcee 2 times. She is a mother, a grandmother. She's also the author of the book Driveway Showcase, A Comedian's Year in Lockdown. Please welcome back to the Westport Library stage. It's been too long. Please welcome her back, Stephanie Bass.
Nice house, and I papered it so I'd get some laughs. Okay. Michael, that was great. Jewish people couldn't do that set. Gutsy, I loved it. I had a big birthday this year, 75. I'm still in shock. By the way, I'm from the generation that promised love, peace, equality. I just want to say we apologize. 75, I was the ingenue till my mid-30s. I don't know how I got here. Most of the time, I forget how old I am because I'm looking out. Then I look in the mirror. It's my mother. I spent my entire adult life not becoming my mother. Now, I have her face, I have her hands, and that awful, I'm afraid I'm gonna slip on the ice walk. As if that wasn't enough, everything, app this, app that. I go to the Apple store, I run through 3 geniuses. They keep passing me down till I end up with the 12-year-old genius. I have no technical vocabulary. They could be speaking Sanskrit. In the last millennium, I was very intelligent. Now, everything I know, totally useless. Any minute, my iPhone is gonna tell me I need an app when I get up at 4 in the morning to pee. I have one kid. The reason I stopped at one, I read that for every kid you breastfeed, they suck out 20 IQ points. I plowed into motherhood, drove the kid to tutors, I fixed her teeth, I fixed her eyes, I nailed acne before she pitted. At 37, she still gets carded at the movies. For my kid, I became the most dysfunctional brownie leader in Fairfield County. They give you 6 matches to light a campfire. You ever have 14 little princesses pissed off at you because they have to eat raw s'mores? Or deal with someone else's kid who says, I put away my scissors, but she didn't. Everybody knows the scissor snitch is gonna grow up to be the one in the office nobody likes. According to the official Brownie Leader Handbook, should a parent be in excess of 20 minutes late picking up the little trooper, you are expected to take said little trooper to the police station. Okay, I did it once, but it was the scissor snitch. A typical day in motherhood, I'm taking my 7-year-old to fix her lisp. The speech therapist says, we will address the enunciation of the J and SH sounds. My kid gives me a dirty look and says, if you didn't name me Jesse Jane Swartz, I wouldn't have to be here. Everyone who has children knows they show up pre-programmed. You open the package, you see what you have to work with. In what I've always considered God's cosmic joke, my kid and I ended up together. I grew up in a small blue-collar town in upstate New York. Half the girls in my town got pregnant, moved above the bakery on Main Street, swearing I only did it once in the back of a Chevy. They never left town. At 17, I was the oldest virgin in my graduating class. My goal, get the hell out of Dodge. My child grew up in Westport. The goal of every Westport kid, make enough money to come back. Of course, it's great to live here. I moved here within 2 weeks with my 5-year-old, and I get a delivery of the Westport Parent Manifesto. Our job is to get our kid Ivy. What that means is if you're a newbie or you're not a parent, they go directly from Staples High School to an Ivy League college. And you only need one kid for Ivy bragging rights. Now, most of these mommies, they had 3 and 4 kids. They had what I called a practice child. Like the first pancake, an ugly little misshapen burnt thing. I didn't have a practice child. I had one kid in the race. Okay. She comes home from a play date one day, and she asks me, are we poor? Her friend had a swimming pool and a tennis court. I said, you know Daddy's 38-foot boat? One 38-foot boat equals 1 swimming pool plus 1 tennis court. That's how we teach our children math. My kid makes Ivy. Somehow, the unlikely duo of the ex-hippie pothead and the preppy math genius worked. It's 2004. I'm launching my kid on the world. You know, when they go to college, they rebel. Maybe get a tattoo, pierced a couple of body parts. My kid voted Republican. It was only the Bush years futzing around, but still, okay. Cut to now. My adult daughter tells me why it's good to be 75. When you go to the airport, you don't have to take your shoes off because you're too old to be a terrorist. Great, another job I'm aged out of. She asks me, what's a Rolodex? Who's Gloria Steinem? How many Beatles were there? How many Beatles? Guess. The kid guesses wrong. She's out of the will. But you have to be nice to your adult children. At 75, I'm signing papers. I go gaga. She's in charge of my money and my health care. At the end in the hospital, she's the one pulling the plug. Now I get a little cough. I'm afraid she's going to be ripping the diamonds off my fingers. I'm Stephanie Bass. Thank you.
Great set. Stephanie Bass, everybody. Please come back soon. We've missed you. Beautiful. Don't take her diamonds, but do buy her book. Driveway Showcase, the comedians here in lockdown. So we're going to slow down just a little bit for a story of international traveler. Do we have travelers in the house? Yes. So Phyllis Ammerling is also a retired educator, teaching in comedy. Maybe it's got something to do with each other. She's also a voracious reader, a student of Pilates, and a world traveler. She's just here from the airport. She just landed to share with us a story of international travel. Please welcome to the Westport Library stage, Phyllis Ammerling.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Note to self, do not arrive JFK Friday before Thanksgiving. Okay, so let's start. It was only recently that I came to the conclusion that I had a very unique childhood. I lived in a house with a backyard, a porch, and a two-car garage. Who had two-car garages, 2 cars in New York City? Unheard of. I was thrilled we had 1 car. Somewhere growing up, I was bitten by the travel mosquito. The long-term effects were that I had this overwhelming desire to find out if there was anything to see outside New York State. I cannot imagine what put that thought into my head, but I did have a Japanese pen pal in middle and high school. Was that the start? Maybe. I began to collect dollar after dollar to make this dream come true. You don't remember dollars? Really? They were these green pieces of paper about this big. Some were scratched, some were bent, some were torn. But we had to use them. I used them to buy things. There were no credit cards. The words tap and swipe were dance moves. Venmo? Was that a city in Italy? So that's what happened. By the time I was a senior in college, I had saved enough money. But there was one hiccup. My now husband entered the picture, and that complicated my dream. But I was adamant. Come with me or wait. He decided to come. So then began the arduous task of planning the trip. We wrote letters to hotels and countries we planned to visit. They responded, but in their language. There was no Google Translate app. So now what? Dictionary after dictionary after dictionary after dictionary on my desk. Europe on $10 a day was the guidebook that was the printed version of today's internet. That meant food, transportation, land transportation only, lodgings, and sightseeing admissions. We thought we were smart. We had budgeted $10 a day per person, so we were sure we'd be fine. But there are so many stories to tell about this honeymoon. So sit back, relax, and I'll tell you some of my stories. About the Sunday we went to an ATM machine in Spain, several miles from our hotel. Needing euros for the rest of the day, we entered our code in the ATM machine. Trial 1 spit back the code with a message on the screen, of course in Spanish. No comprendo. Trial 2 spit back the card again with a different message. We had no idea what that one meant either. Trial 3 ate the card. Then we realized their keypad was all letters. In the United States, ours are all numbers. So there we stood. No card, no euros, therefore no dinner. I was so upset I could not speak. I looked at my husband. He was responsible for my panic. We were scheduled to leave this location the very next morning. My even-tempered new husband, cool as a cucumber, said, "Relax." I was panicked. He was relaxed. The more he said that, the more I wanted to divorce him that very moment. The upcoming marriage I would have had flashed before my eyes. I would be the hysterical one, and he would say, "Relax." I walked off in a huff, going where I had no idea. I had no money, no map, no hotel key. They gave it to the men in those days. And no ID. Definitely no food. What the hell was I thinking? But the day ended fine, with sex and saltines. Or walking up a Paris side street looking for a cab to take us to the train station, to hear the concierge yelling, "Americans, Americans, arrête, arrête!" We knew that meant stop now. We didn't know much else, but we knew that. What had we done? We didn't steal the towels in our room. We paid our bill. We said bonjour. What had we done? He handed us our passports, which we had left in the hotel safe, kissed us on both cheeks, said au revoir, and left. I did wonder what he was thinking about these naive honeymooners as he walked away. So much for us being savvy world travelers. But my all-time favorite at the end of the trip, the chambermaid who came running down the steps and said, "You forgot to pack your clothes." I had intentionally left all my clothes in the armoire, swearing never to wear them again. 2 pairs of pants, 2 shirts, 2 dresses, I was done. I would never wear them again. She looked at me and said, "Crazy rich American lady." We came home with $2.36. This was all part of my long-planned European honeymoon. My calm husband and I, yes, we have been married 58 years. Even after this trip, became worldwide travelers, as are our children and grandchildren, all because of one mosquito bite. So I have many more stories to tell you, and I hope we'll meet again. Bon voyage.
Thank you, Phyllis. Safe travels. How are you enjoying your show so far? Yes? Westport, are you with me? I know, let's see. I think Westport bedtime is similar to lesbian bedtime, which is 9 o'clock, so we're gonna get you home soon. That's why I liked it so much here. I felt so at home. It is our last performer, and I'm so excited to bring him up here. I worked with him here in June at a storytelling event we did here at the Westport Library, so it's great to be together and work together again. He is a nice Jewish boy from Chicago. Who doesn't like a nice Jewish boy from Chicago, right? He is a public speaker, an improviser, a comedian who has worked in synagogues, on the stage, in theaters, and in schools. His biggest cheerleader is his wife. I hope she's here tonight because he's hoping that she will laugh. One can only hope. Please welcome to close out our show, the hilarious Jamie Mahatka.
I'm so happy my wife made it, and I forgot to tell Mina I'm also a dad. I'm a dad too, and you know the babysitter had to make it on time so my wife could make it, so we're very happy she's here. Okay, so I have a little story for you. In November of 2020, roll it back, I got COVID, bad. And it was so bad that I needed to go to the hospital. And if you remember during the height of this, there was no vaccine then, and hospitals were standing room only, so my doctor had to call the hospital and make a reservation for me, like a hotel. And then I went to the hospital in all my garb, mask, smock, all the things, and I checked in like it was a hotel. I had to give them my ID, my insurance card, my credit card, and then I was shown to my room. I got my own room in the ER, and it was complete with a bed and my own bathroom and a sliding door that locked me in. I was not allowed to get out. But my other favorite thing in the room was the phone. It was like a hotel phone. My hospital hotel phone. It was like that ugly yellow, you know what I mean? Has a red light on it that blinks, you have no idea why, and a really long curly cord as if I'm just gonna strut around the room while I have COVID and I can't breathe. And also, when somebody calls it, there's no caller ID. And they tell me that I'm gonna use this phone to communicate with the nurses and the doctors, and that they're gonna communicate with me while I'm dying and I can't breathe because I have COVID. Interesting. So I'm put on oxygen and I'm told by telephone that they're gonna take an x-ray of my lungs. They wanna see how those are doing. Okay, I'm just laying like you do, hoping not to die, and somebody lets themselves into the room, takes an x-ray, and shortly after, my phone rings. Hello. Well, hi there, Jamie. This is we'll call him Dr. Stupid. This is Dr. Stupid, and definitely your lungs are all messed up, but did you know that you're a miracle? You won't believe this, but I've never seen anything like this before. Your heart is on the right side of your body. And I only heard about that in medical school. I never, ever thought in my whole life I would ever meet anybody that ever had it in person. Gee, like I give a fuck, I'm dying. Can we talk about the COVID, perhaps? What a lovely sentiment that I'm a miracle. Can I be the miracle that lives? So now I'm a miracle, and then he also tells me I'm definitely being admitted. They're getting my other room ready. And shortly after that, I have a whole parade of people, and they're wheeling my bed, and they wheel me down a hallway, and I go to an elevator, and then I'm going to the COVID floor. Well, the elevator doors open, and I'm greeted by 20 or 30 people, all in gowns and masks, clapping. Looking right at me and clapping. And I'm like, are they clapping because I'm still alive and I'm on the COVID floor? What's happening? Well, I guess they were bored and everybody got to read my medical chart, so they know that I'm a miracle, which here I am. And then also, I immediately get a nurse who says to me, Jamie, welcome. I'm your nurse, Nancy. I want you to know we read your medical file. We know you're transgender, and we're very proud to use the right pronouns for you. He, him. I am transgender. I could give a fuck about my pronouns right now. I just want to be able to breathe. So I spend the rest of this hospital stay. You know, they check your vitals all the time. They don't let you rest. They need to make sure they check your blood pressure, and they're sticking me with medication, and they're taking my blood. So can you imagine at 2 o'clock in the morning, and every hour after, I hear people in the hallway, I want to go get his blood pressure. I haven't seen him yet. I want to be the one to go in. You already got to see him earlier. I love you, dear, but I don't know, honey, my own wife. Have you ever fought anybody for me lately? No? Did you fight for me like that? Because the nurses did. Just saying. So I have people fighting over me to take my vitals and see this miracle. May I mention I'm 40 years old. In 2020, I was not 40, but I was close. I'm also a recovering hypochondriac. So it does occur to me while I'm laying in bed with COVID that, you know, I really think we'd know if my heart was on the right side of my body before now. Can you imagine how many x-rays and things I went to the hospital for when nothing was wrong with me? So I had my suspicions. I end up getting better, right? I'm standing here in front of you. Thank you very much. But I spent like 4 or 5 nights in the hospital. And when I was being discharged, I had a doctor I will call Dr. Smarter. And Dr. Smarter came in and said, you know what, you've done really well. We're really happy with your recovery. And I said, you know, I just have one question. Do you really think my heart is on the right side of my body? Because unlike the other people, the other doctors that had come through in days who were using their stethoscopes on me going, oh yeah, you know what, if I move it over to the right, yeah, it does sound like the heartbeat is coming more from the right. This guy, Dr. Smarter, said, you know, I don't know. We're gonna get you another x-ray. I get another x-ray, I wait, and then I hear the news. Jamie, I hate to break it to you. You're not a miracle. You're normal in this respect. And we really apologize because here at this hospital, we're very progressive and we will always get your pronouns right, but rest assured, we might screw up the x-rays once in a while. And what had happened was the technician just flipped it over. While I'm happy about it, what about the 30 people who applauded for me and fawned over me for the last week? They're the ones that are upset. For once in my life, I'll take being normal. Thank you. I'm not a miracle. I'm Jamie Mahatka. Thank you and good night.
Keep it going for our miracle, Jamie Mahatka. Please keep it going for all our performers tonight as we welcome them back to the stage. Jane Steiger, Michael R. Douglas, Phyllis Ammerling, Stephanie Bash, Shari Moline on video. We want to thank the Westport Library and especially Carrie for all her support for our class. And thank you for coming. I'm Mina Hartong and I am your host. Good night. This is for me. Thank you. We're gonna bow.